Excellent.
All right.
So, welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Lily, do you want to do a little intro, or would you like me to do a little intro?
No, I'm happy for you to do the intro.
Yep. So we're fortunate to have Melissa with us tonight. She's going to be educating us a bit about BlazeAid. Lily's been contacting BlazeAid about potential for our club to maybe assist in some way, and we thought the best way to do that was to learn a little bit more about it, and then to try and see where we might be able to fit in. So welcome, Melissa, and I will hand it over to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Richard. So Melissa Jones is my name. I'm the CEO of BlazeAid, and BlazeAid began 16 years ago, almost to the day, actually, after Black Saturday in Victoria. Our family farm was burnt out in that big fire. And that's the fire that lasted about 6 weeks and killed about 184 people there and razed around 2,000 properties to the ground or homes to the ground. Um, Quite a historical fire because it was the largest in recorded history as far as loss of property and life there. So big fire. But anyway, our family farm was burnt out. We lost only about 3 kilometres of fencing. But when we talk about fencing, if you think about a farmer, they try and keep their stock in. Obviously, we're close to the Hume Highway, and we had near on 2,000 sheep heading towards the Hume Highway, and out in the roads, blocking fire trucks from coming through and the like. So fencing, it doesn't sound like much, but you're looking at for my parents, actually for my dad, it's about was going to take him about 3 to 6 months to build that 3 kilometres of fencing, and more than that, you're looking at around $18,000 per kilometre to build that fence. So not only the time factor, but also the financial stress that something like that happens to a property owner is quite substantial. So my dad put a little ad in the local newspaper, and he said, look, if anyone can come and help, you don't need to know about fencing, I'll teach you on the job. Anyone can come and help, I'd be very grateful. And the next day he had 25 people turn up, family and friends and local community members, and he had the fence done in a week. So he was absolutely delighted, and mum and dad went for a drive down the border of the property, and dad was looking out the passenger window at his beautiful new fences, and mum was looking out the driver's side at the neighbours who were absolutely decimated. So they decided in the car there that they give it 2 weeks to go and help the neighbours and pay the favour forward, and that dad said to mum, you do all the cooking and make the volunteers feel welcome and appreciated, and I'll organise teams to go out to our neighbours' properties to help them get their fences back in line too. And they said, yep, we'll give it 2 weeks, and it's actually been going for 16 years now. So we've worked in every single state apart from the Northern Territory in Australia, and disasters in every single year since 2009. That first camp had around 500 kilometres of fencing built, and about the same cleared after the fire went through. They had around 3,500 volunteers from all over Australia and the world. I think do you remember that koala video that went
Yes.
live?
Yep.
I think that drew a lot of people in from across the world, and they came to visit and volunteer as well. And it was a 10-month camp, so it was sustained through local donations and the like, particularly for the first couple of months. And in fact, my parents funded that camp to start with until it was actually Rotary that came in and saved the day, the local Rotary in near Kilmore. and came in and donated some money so we could buy some tools for the volunteers to use, because at that stage we were just saying, bring your own tools and that sort of thing. So it was marvellous, and we have a lot a lot of thanks to give Rotary, especially for that first year, but also every disaster afterwards, because Rotary is always the first to put up their hand and say, how can we help, which is wonderful. So in a snapshot today, we have around 40,000 volunteers on the books. We've completed about 18,000 kilometres of fencing, rebuilt, and cleared a further 18,500. So just to put that in perspective, that's like building a fence by hand from Melbourne to Rome, which is pretty extraordinary considering that, as I said, all hand-built. We've had around 220 base camps where when we call out for volunteers to come and help after a disaster, they come and stay in the camp with, they bring caravans, tents, sleeping bags, swags and the like. We have some simple accommodation that we can host people in, and they sent out in teams just like the first camp in Kilmore there onto properties to help rebuild the farmers' fences. But I will say we talk about BlazeAid, being 49% fencing organisation, but 51% of a mental health organisation, because if you think about, let's take a fire, for example. Beyond floods is another story, but a fire comes in and wipes out not only fences but livestock, buildings, sometimes houses, everything a property owner owns. And then if there's some stock left over, by the time we get in, which is usually fairly quick, within a couple of days, they've spent that time shooting their livestock, the ones that are left. So they're very fragile when we come in, and many of them we often worry about coming to their properties and seeing them swinging from a tree, because often it's generational farmers that we see, and that sense of the farm has stopped with me, and I've been the one to stop the generational farming is horrendous feeling, and also given the financial burden as well, and the time frame of trying to get back on top of things, is immense. If you think about, having 6 months without a wage, maybe up to a year without a wage, and trying to feed your family as well, this is the sort of thing that we're looking at. So when we just say we build fences, it's certainly far, far, far more important and a lot more deeper than just building a fence. So at the moment we have one camp established. We actually had a time in December last year where we had no camps, and it was only for a week. But that was the first time since 2018 that we had no camps running at one time. But now we are actually in Wollora, which is close to Ararat, about 20 minutes or so from Ararat in the Grampians. We're also looking at starting a camp in the Dimboola area, but it's not quite safe yet for us to get in there and do so. We also are looking at, Murgon in Queensland. So that's had horrendous storms and floods up there over the last month. However, it's too wet to get in there at the moment. Obviously, we need to be able to access properties, get in with our trailers and our tools, and combat-ready trailers, we call them. They've got everything in there that we need to build a fence and take one down. And also in Ingham is the next one we're also targeting as a base camp. So probably within the next month or so, we'll have 4 camps running, unless there's more disasters, which I think there will be. We've got more fires on the cards, I think, especially in New South Wales and WA. We're also looking at a place called Wagen in WA. They had a big fire there too. So that probably starting in the next 3 weeks or so. So there we go. It's a big organisation and but humble at the same time, because we're fully run with volunteers. Only 2 people are paid in the organisation, and they're paid from grants. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to say every dollar that's donated goes directly to where the donor intended it to go. So there we go.
Yes.
Are there any questions? I know that was a quick summary, but yes, any questions?
So Norman, I think you've got a couple of questions, my friend.
I'll put a few questions in the chat.
You got to go to bed, Dale. Love you.
The fences we know about. And in my previous club at Melbourne, we provided equipment to, I think it was mainly more in the Gippsland area, for digging the post holes and that sort of thing. But what happens about the stock? You lose some, obviously, because they wander off if there are no fences, but some of them will die in the fires themselves. You might not be able to get feed or water to them. How do you finance the stock losses? Can you get insurance for that? Just speaking about the farmer's point of view.
Yes, definitely insurance for stock losses. And most property owners do have insurance for stock. They don't insure fences often. You're probably looking at around 50% of farmers or property owners that insure their fences. And the reason being is because it costs almost as much to insure a fence line as it does to rebuild one. So obviously you can move your stock, but you can't move your fence. So that's the reasoning behind it. And we do have, that there's one property owner in Wollora who I know has lost 100 kilometres of fencing uninsured.
Yes.
So, and at $18,000 a kilometre, I don't know how you climb back from that. I don't know. And that's where we come in and help, because they're just destitute. Yes.
So the question I've got is, how do the camps work? So, like, how is it coordinated? Where people are going to go? How do they get food, sanitation? How does the camps work?
Well, it's a well-oiled machine now, I tell you. There, we find a local community venue, so it's usually a sports ground or a community hall or something like that where we set up. It needs to have amenities like showers and toilets, a kitchen and dining so we can cook and feed the volunteers, and also give our safety briefings every morning, which we do. And once that's sort of over the line, I find a coordinator, and there are many across the country who put up their hands and say, yep, I'll give you a couple of months, or I'll give you 2 weeks, or whatever. And they virtually go around, visit. We call for expressions of interest for assistance from farmers in the community. And we get the list going, and then we call every single farmer, and then we go and do assessments to see what their needs are. And also, we're also looking out for their mental health there, and that also helps us prioritise who we do first, so who we help first. So if we know if somebody's in dire straits and they're not doing well, even if they've only got 3 sheep to close in, we'll go and help them first, because it's about, that can be life and death.
So what about the food side? So
food side, yep. So BlazeAid pays for the food from donations that we get from all over Australia. We also have communities come in and say, right, it might be the local Lions Club or Rotary come in and say, we'll cook for the night and give the cook the night off. And that's wonderful. We'll also have netball groups or footy groups come in and do a barbecue for the volunteers. As far as breakfast goes, we do our safety briefing in the morning at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we make sure the volunteers have a really good hearty breakfast. So it's often bacon and eggs and fully cooked meal and that sort of thing. They make their lunch to take out on the farms, and then they come in the afternoon, and there's a 2-course meal that's cooked for them to enjoy together, so that they can debrief about what they've seen as well and talk about, it's the camaraderie that we're really trying to instill in the camps there, that, support for each other and the like. Does that answer your question, Richard?
You're muted, Richard.
Yes, I should be better at it by now, shouldn't I? So it's normally other groups that come in, like for the meals, etc., and it's normally on site. They would come and serve it on site.
There's a balance. We might have a group come in once a week and cook, but most of the time we do it ourselves. So we'll have the volunteers who put their hand up to do the kitchen duties and to cook for the volunteers. And at the moment, I know we have about 60 volunteers in at Woolora, so it's like a Christmas dinner. Right. Every day cooking for 60, I tell you what. So there's often a team in the kitchen that assist there.
Yeah. So the meals are normally cooked on the site. And what I'm getting at is, like, our expertise as a club is that we do what we call e-meals, and they're meals that are cooked in the kitchen, and then we normally freeze them, and then they can be distributed. So would something like that be of any assistance to you, or not really, because there's the issue of getting the food transported to wherever you are? So there might be a few logistic challenges. So, Lily, you've got a question? Or?
I just want to share a conversation I had with Deb earlier about your point exactly there. We were thinking, instead of freezing our meals when we've cooked them, we put them in the fridge at the kitchen, and we just time this so that we'll, let's say we do it on a Wednesday night, we put all the meals in the fridge, and then somebody will come pick them up the next day cold and drive them up, because if they're already frozen, the time difference between transporting them from Melbourne to where they need to go is a bit too long, and the meals might defrost. But if they're cold, just straight from the fridge, they can be frozen once they get there. So I was just thinking, as you're speaking, Melissa, the meals, two options. One, the small containers that we do of meals, they could be given to people for their lunch, actually, the next day, when they get up there, as one option. And then the large trays that I want to do for you can be used for the dinners. And you either use them then, or you can freeze them or whatever. But I think that might be a good way around it. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. That could be ideal, actually. I mean, as long as we work it out so that, they are picked up straight away, after the next day, so to speak, and then taken directly there, I think that might be the best option. Normally, the volunteers don't have heating options on site when they're out in the paddocks, so I'm not sure how that would work. However, I can definitely see how, and we have had this before when portion-size meals are donated, and it's been a wonderful help because people just come and choose it just makes it really easy, and it's wonderful. So I see how that certainly will work.
I'm thinking, even if we did like pasta and vegetable, or couscous and vegetables, when you have it cold, it's almost like a salad.
Yes.
When you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pasta salad.
Absolutely.
So it wouldn't need to be heated, and then they could take it for their lunch.
Yes.
So that's
absolutely.
how I envisage. And then the larger trays, you use them as you need, and you can freeze them if you don't want to use them straight away.
Yeah, fantastic. That would work so well, for sure. Yeah.
So just locking in the timing for us. Generally, we would do our emails on a Wednesday night instead of having a club meeting. You'll see Saxon's name on the screen here. We use Saxon's Business, which is an events management business in Malvern East, and his premises has the commercial kitchen. So we just need to lock in when it's available, and we can put everything in the fridge there, can't we, Saxon?
Yes. Hello. Yes, indeed. Everything you said.
Yes, dear.
I'm taking a bit of license here saying we can, but yes, we can put it in the fridge. So when I say timing, if we do it on a Wednesday, so either a Thursday or a Friday following, someone needs to be able to, come into Melbourne and pick those up. And that's what we need to sort out.
So something we might be able to do offline is maybe, Saxon, you let us know what the availability of the kitchen is and work with Lily, and then we'll put the call out to the members, and we'll coordinate a cook up, and we'll make it that the cook up's specifically for BlazeAid. Does that sound like a good plan?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Terrific.
Janet, did you have a question?
Yes. Melissa, do you have a lot of room for freezing things?
Yes, we've got two massive, they're 6-foot freezers there in Woolora. So, yes, there's heaps of room at the moment. And we've also got 3 commercial fridges there too. So there's plenty of room.
Right.
Do you need another upright freezer?
Look,
I happen to know the one that's going free.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe, how big is it?
It's the size of an upright fridge, but it's a full freezer.
But a full freezer.
It's a standalone.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. We won't need it for Woolora, but we could need it for another camp in the area, Dimboola perhaps. I don't know where we'll be there, so it's a possibility. For sure. Can I get back to you on that?
Yeah, so I'm assuming, Richard, that we've got Melissa's contact details.
Yes,
or you can give us your email or something.
Lily's got the details, so yes, we'll be able to reach out. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Norman, you've got a question, my friend?
Yes, I've got a question and a comment. First, the question. I understood we were going to ask Melissa what she wanted. We've offered food, but she might have a laundry list that we should consider.
Good point, my friend. Good point.
Oh, goodness. Look, food's always good. We need water. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the fire took out a lot of pipelines in the area, and so there's no town water, drinkable town water. And it's also filled up with ash, the dams there. So I know we have a pallet coming of water, but obviously the volunteers take out water every day, and it's very hot out there. So that's something that we need. I know, Norman, just before you talked about tool supply, we always need that sort of thing. I know that when we were in Buanga last year, which is in a similar area, we had a lot of backpackers come and help because we were able to sign off on their 88 days for volunteer work and for their visas, and they froze overnight. So we were sort of looking into heaters.
Can I just interrupt on that point? Just thinking, would the tools you need be standard sort of sets of tools, particular tools that you always need, and they always wear out, you always need more, and therefore it wouldn't hurt to have a stock of them, except you've got a problem maybe of transporting them around. But I was wondering about you talked about raising funds. successfully raising funds, I think, for the food and so forth. Which platform would you use for that? And could you maybe use that platform to say, give us $5, it'll buy us the handle of a spade or whatever you need, you know?
You know, historically, we don't ask for donations, so to speak. Generally, we don't spruik, I should say. That's the word I'm looking for. We allow the work we do to speak for itself, and our reputation. We've got a really good reputation for high morals and values and getting the job done efficiently and quickly, and spending wisely. So that's, yeah, we don't, I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but we would never say we need, we're fundraising, we need money for this. It's sort of what others come to us and say, here you go, you're doing a great job. Here's money for tools. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Wonderful situation to be in as a charity. Very unusual.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, we are very different, I must say. We do run things differently.
So I interrupted on the tools.
Yeah. Oh, what was I saying? Oh, we're looking at heaters at the moment, so it's difficult to find heaters that we can use that don't connect to power. So they've got to be sort of battery operated but safe in tents or in the pods that we have. So those, there's the open flame ones that run on the gas bottles. They're not going to be any good because if they tip over, then we don't want to hurt anyone, obviously. So we're delving into, there's one we've found that's very expensive. I think they're about $400 each, but we have to keep, that sometimes in that Gippsland area, the weather is horrific and you get down sub-zero temperatures overnight, and our poor volunteers are freezing during the winter, no matter how many hot water bottles we give them and how many blankets. So that's our project at the moment. We're sort of looking for maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 of those to keep our volunteers warm in the cooler months.
An on-site generator wouldn't work for you?
We do have an on-site generator, but we try not to run it for long periods of the day because the fuel is really expensive. We get, I think, about 800 litres of diesel delivered each week, but that's only running the generator, a couple of hours a day. So, yeah, we're frugal. Yeah, trying to find the right way to do things. Yeah.
Excellent. Does anyone else have any other questions? So, Melissa, thank you very much for your time. Oh, yes, Norman.
Sorry, I want to dive in with my comment, which I put in the chat. The 2019 bushfires also stimulated the creation of Trauma Recovery Network Australia, which I have the honour of chairing for the last 10 years and a bit.
Wow.
We started aimed at family violence, but we have now pivoted to what we feel is a practical response, which is trying to help people resolve trauma, trying to prevent trauma in the situations, for example, of the bushfires by getting early treatment to people. And what we found was there is a great shortage of mental health specialists in the bush who are trained in the evidence-based techniques that can give quick relief. So that's been our mission. We now have 30 shy of 1,000 therapists in our network.
Wow.
And I can't tell you the geographical breakdown because we haven't got people to organize those statistics, but there are people all around. And it seems to me it would make sense for us to connect with you if we can, because our local networks get activated when something happens. We ran work in Launceston after the little tragedy there. We've got people active in the Grampians type area. We've been up in Bega, Bairnsdale, Wangaratta, Myrtleford in Victoria. and our motivation is to train people who are local and stay there, not to fly people in. I quite understand how it's really helpful to fly in a camp full of people to build fences, but for the mental aid, it's more useful to have locals people can turn to, and also to whom they will relate and find it, although sometimes they have resistance. But anyway, I think it would be good if we were to get in contact and see how we might be able to interface.
That would be fantastic, Norman. I mean, as you probably are aware, they say, 8 to 10 years in some instances to recover from an incident like a major bushfire or natural disaster.
Without the right treatment, you may never recover.
That's right. Exactly.
That's what we see from childhood trauma.
Exactly.
There's an enormous burden about, well, some people have estimated that about 60% of the Australian population have experienced trauma at some time. Now, a number of them obviously self-resolve, but there's a very hardcore, which is as high as 6 to 8% of the population who never do. They never go back to work. They cannot form family relationships. They break down, and they're a burden on society, and in a hopeless situation themselves. So it's important to fix it.
It sure is. No, I'd love that, Norman. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
So what I'm thinking, Melissa, is we'll get together offline, Saxon and I, and work out when suitable dates will be to do an emails cook-up. And then I can email you and let you know. And then you can let me know if you have someone available to come into Melbourne East to collect the food. They wouldn't need like a truck or anything. It would fit in the back of a car, I would say.
Okay. That sounds good. I mean, logistically, what I would normally do is when I have dates, I would basically spread the word wide and say, can anyone do this job and take it over for me? So most of the time I'll get a yes, but having time in advance to plan for that would be really beneficial if possible.
Okay, well, we'll get back to you in the next few days after we speak. And if we look at sort of earmarking a Thursday, Friday pickup, and because we'll do it on a Wednesday.
Yes. All right. No worries.
Janet, did you have a question?
Not a question, it's a comment. Is why can't a couple of us drive the food out? I'd be happy to do that on Thursday morning. Not a problem.
Thank you, Janet.
That's all right. It's about a 3-hour drive, isn't it?
Yeah, good 3 hours.
Yeah,
beautiful
all right.
drive, though. Gorgeous drive.
I thought it was all burnt out.
No, just like coming out to Gippsland, it's a day jaunt.
It may be that you don't necessarily have to get someone to come in and pick it up. We might be able to organise something.
Okay, wonderful, Janet. Thank you.
Any other questions for Melissa? Melissa, thank you very much for your time. It's been very good. You are more, round of applause.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome to stay online if you like, but what we'll normally do now is we normally do around the room about what people have been up to for the last week or so. So again, thank you for your time. We will be in touch most obviously, and thank you once again for all the great work that you guys do.
Oh, my goodness. I appreciate you having me and listening to our story and for all your support. It's amazing. So I'll jump off and I'll go and put my kids to bed now. So
good plan. Bye-bye.
Thank you ever so much.
Bye. Excellent. Okay, we'll do it around the room. So Lily, you're up in my top left.
Okay, thank you. Well, as I mentioned last week, I had this big event on Friday night. 200 people was for Pride, a Pride event, and that was just absolutely amazing. Went off very well. So there's that. Nourish continues to grow. I have a really good Monday prep team now, so that's working well. And this week I have 100 people event on Saturday. So, you know, forever in the kitchen, forever shopping. But yeah, it's good.
Excellent, excellent. Don, how are you? You're recovering?
Microphone on. No, I'm good. Just a reminder to members that if anybody other than Belinda and myself are thinking about going to district conference, there's 3 weeks until the early bird closes. Judith and I will be there at Morfettville. It looks like being a fabulous event because there are the two largest districts in Australia coming together to have a joint district conference at the Morfettville Racecourse. There is still good accommodation in at Brighton and a couple of other places nearby in Adelaide. I'm not a great fan of interstate conferences, but I thought this is my first formal one as a member. I've been to a number of 9800 conferences and they've always been pretty good. And I want to catch up with a few of my old mates from Melbourne who I know are going. And yeah, so 979, that's your former district, I think, is it? No?
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved in an event with them in 2 weekends' time at, I hope I can remember where I'm going when it comes to the date, just out of Wangaratta, where the leadership of all of the clubs in the district are coming together to hopefully design some ways to build up clubs that are failing, because there are quite a few that are, and yeah, so that's at the Oxley Community Hall. I don't know where that is, but anyway, I'll find it. Apparently it's a 5-hour drive from where we are, and so I go up on Saturday, sleep in Wangaratta Saturday night, give them all day Sunday, and then come back to Melbourne.
There's a great
Sunday.
little restaurant in Oxley.
There
Don.
is, Norman. I know it.
Oh,
yeah,
you do know it.
Yes.
You were hinting you didn't know where it was, but we always
no,
try
I couldn't.
and stop
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember.
Going up to Brighton, coming back to go to the snow. We always
on the snow road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think actually the Oxley Hall's on the snow road as well. So, but no, nothing much else. I've been putting myself through some medical crap in the last few days, and I spent last night awake and most of the morning on the loo. So, but I've picked up a bit now.
And, very good. All right, you take care.
Certainly feel a lot better than I did when I was talking to you earlier, Richard.
Yes, you were sounding a bit average.
I didn't think I was going to be here, but I think getting together with a bunch of old blokes before this meeting, we have a weekly meeting of all of the district governors in Australia from my year as governor, and they are just such a good bunch, and it was nice to have Melissa. I didn't know who you were going to wind up getting, Lily, because I knew that it wouldn't be Kevin, and I thought Debbie Butler might have, but
yeah, well, that's the person I was originally speaking with. I was put onto her through Peter from Rotary.
I think we got not the better end of the stick. I think we got a good presentation by Melissa, and she's open to different sorts of things. We know some people with money. I used to have money, but I don't anymore. 14 years ago, I bought a trailer for work with BlazeAid. It's been out on the job now 7 times. It's been to Tasmania, and it's been to 7 other fire sites. If we could convince some of our wealthy friends in Melbourne, Norman, it only costs about $12,000 to buy a fencing trailer, and it's all that's needed by a team who are working on fencing.
Your wealthy friends in Melbourne have already done that, Don, but
no, they haven't. They haven't done anywhere near what they should have done.
You be careful. You
I
careful. You
might
be
turn the
overheard.
recording off now.
You might be overheard.
No, I mean, I know.
But the organisation sounds as sounds as good as they say they are. Then I don't know whether they have directly benefited or whether it happens just through Rotary and a different network. I can find out.
I'm sure that's the case, mate. And no, I wasn't trying to belittle Melbourne, but I was just saying you've got friends in high places. Let's use them.
Excellent. Thanks, Don. Anything else from you?
No, we've got a very simple board meeting next week. There's the only thing. Well, we may actually have more than a simple board meeting because we'll probably be discussing our future meeting schedule. But from the previous board meeting, the only things we dealt with were the filling of the officer roles that hadn't been done at the annual meeting.
Beautiful.
We have the schedule of meetings, Don.
Say again?
We've got the schedule of meetings and
that's
survey.
That's what I just said.
That'll take us 3 meetings at least.
If it takes us more than 1 meeting, you get somebody else to take the minutes.
All right, we'll keep moving on. Lilia, you're next on my screen.
Me?
Yes.
I'm just wondering the result of the survey. Oh, how many times a month?
Yeah, so that's what we're actually going to be discussing at the board meeting. But I will preempt that a majority of people by a significant amount have indicated that they'd like to change it and reduce the number of meetings.
How many days a month?
Well, that's the consensus was 2 meetings per month.
Yeah.
And there was about 50-50, about 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. And so we just need to discuss the final bits about what we think the board thinks would work best. And then we'll just check that with the members and then go from there. Okay, but at this stage, nothing has changed. It is still exactly the same.
Nothing has changed yet.
Nothing has changed as yet. All right, nothing else from you, Lilia?
This is not a project of Rotary. There was a big fire in the Philippines. I donated almost $700 for the food and bottle of water.
Oh, very good.
I sent him directly to the one who will take charge, because if I will send the money through the Rotary Club there, it will take time. And it was very urgent on that day because they have nothing to eat.
Right.
They have no roof. They have totally burned. No houses, that everything.
Not good at all.
I was touched. So I immediately sent money and I sued them. It was videoed that they were eating. They have bottle of water.
Where did that happen, Lily?
Pardon?
Where did that happen?
In the Philippines.
Yeah.
In Metro Manila. In
Manila, okay. I was at a Philippines meeting.
It was in the squatter area.
Right.
It wasn't really totally burned.
Right. No, I was at a Philippines meeting during the week, and we had our district governor was one of the guest speakers, and it hadn't been mentioned, and they were actually meeting in Manila, but it's probably they thought it was inappropriate to bring up at a international meeting.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, I was monitoring no Rotarian help there, no private people helping there. I said, what's happening? Even only to give food to the people, nobody went there. The government was late.
Yeah.
And my help was the one who arrived immediately, because when I click my phone, the money will be sent. and it's there in 2 to 3 hours. Too sad.
Yeah.
Too sad.
Very good. Janet, you've got anything? You've got some news about Ryman?
Yes. Thank you, Richard. Today, I saw for the first time a really spiffy forklift at Ryman, which can lift up big 2-seater sofas onto the third shelf. And it's, why are you doing that, Norman?
I'm just sort of supporting you. It's lifting it
yes.
up.
So,
yes. Yeah.
So it was really exciting to see. And I said, where the hell did this thing come from? Because it's brand spanking, shiny new. It's not secondhand. And it turns out that the Rotary Club of Preston donated it.
Wow.
So, it was absolutely fantastic. So this afternoon we had a big cleanup in the sofa section.
Yes.
So that was
which I know is very crowded and very awkward, that area. It's a really tricky area because they're all big items and reasonably heavy. Yeah.
Have you got any nice ones? I could do with a new one.
No, that's great.
Oh, God.
Make it so much easier
when I come
back
back to Melbourne.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing is that I obviously, with the board meeting next week, we'll have a number of things to consider. Lilia, I would suggest that you write the board a letter and ask us for a donation for your fireplace. The board can consider it. And just to let people know, we have $1,900 in the project account, just in case that figure is something that people would like to know.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we have one person still hasn't paid their dues, but everyone else has paid. I'm proud of you. So there you go. I'm good.
Good. Excellent. Norman, you're next on my screen.
Janet.
I actually have a bit of Rotary news as well. Just to get it in, I'm doing my gradual reporting back to the Gippsland clubs about the Trauma Recovery Network and what we did in training people here after those 2019-20 bushfires. So on the 1st of April, not a very auspicious day perhaps, I will be talking to the Rotary Club of Sale, having spoken to Mafra. And after that, I will head further northeast towards Bairnsdale, Lakes Entrance, Malakuta, and eventually rope them in. Personally speaking, we came back from holiday on Friday, saw a property at 5 p.m, signed a lease today, and we're moving next week. So we're going to be a little bit tired in the next 2 weeks.
Where are you going, and how do you need any help?
Well, Don, how much can you lift? Have you got a forklift truck?
I'll see Janet and we'll be right.
I know someone that's got a nice shiny one.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you offline, Don.
Yeah, good as gold. More than happy to help.
If there's anything I could dare burden you with, we're moving to Thompson Street.
Right. It's not far.
In Sale, which is just off Reeve Street.
Yep.
It's 10 minutes walk to the station, which is a benefit potentially.
No, I'll help if I can. I mean, I'll help to whatever degree I can.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Norman. Gabe, you're next on my list, my friend.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everybody. I don't really have a lot to report. Don't know what I've been doing with myself for the past week. I guess that's a good thing. I'm just trying to stay out of the heat, which is really tough. I'm getting myself ready for the peace conference in Istanbul. I'm leaving this time next week, or around this time next week. So yeah.
And how long are you away for?
About 10, 11 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So not too long.
Yeah. I hope it all goes well.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Beautiful.
I hope I don't get robbed.
Lovely city. I was robbed there, but it's a beautiful place, and we intend to go back.
Janet, you've got a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, maybe, Gabe, if you'd be willing to negotiate with Saxon and Lily about whether they need any special spices brought back from Istanbul, because they've got the most awesome spice market.
But you've got to ask the customs.
I'm happy to take orders. There will be a handling fee, of course.
I love your work.
I just think having some, spices on hand would, rather than having to buy them from Coles all the time.
You can't bring them in, Janet. Customs will impound them, if you're honest.
No, the ones that is properly packaged are all right.
Most spices are okay, except white ones. That's no.
Yeah. No, we weren't asking for the white ones.
Very good, guy. And our adventurer Saxon, how's the jet lag, my friend?
Yeah, it's still going. Yawning away. Yes, it was a very good 7 and a bit week. 11 countries and lots of fun and cold and then warm. So yeah, it was good to see so many new places and parent my kids in other postcodes and let them enjoy. Parent my kids all over the place. Highlight Rovaniemi, Finland for Christmas. That was really good, and I hadn't been to Vienna, so I enjoyed getting around.
Excellent. For me, yeah, I've been crook the last week. Had bronchitis. I caught it the week before. So knocked both Jen and I rotten. We were in bed for like 3 days, and just starting to come good now. My volunteering with Vic Park started again for this year today. So I've been clearing mountain bike trail tracks. It's a silly season at the moment for all the mountain bikers and that out and about. So I was doing that today, so that was good. Other than that, life's pretty good. Really nothing else to report. Again, we've got board meeting next week. Lilia, if you send us an email about your proposal for some support, if you send that either to myself or any member of the board, we'll table it. And we'll have some discussions about the results of the survey and how we would like to proceed from there. Got 5 more minutes, so has anyone else got anything else I'd like to raise?
Brilliant timekeeping, Richard.
Years of experience, my friend. No, all right. Thank you very much, everyone. You have a great night, and we look forward to seeing as many of you as possible next week. We've got some good discussions to be had. So thank you very much, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Lily.